Peace. What is good? What is good, everybody? What is going on? It is the Joey Digital checking in from the house. You know what I mean? But I decided to go ahead and share a message with you all real fast and its entirety, hoping that you all are loving the ocean. This is actually a video that I made the other day for those of you all who probably have already seen this video, this particular video, excuse me, on my live story. I was shooting a live with my camera, and I just thought it was such an amazing video. I decided that I would pop back on and create some content in regards to the amazing healing properties and life changes that you could go through when working with the combinations of Moldavite and Libyan desert glass. Okay. So if you all are into crystals, if you all are into messages like the one that I'm getting ready to share with you, definitely go ahead and like this video, which means sharing a thumbs up somewhere underneath the video frame, sharing the content, subscribing to the content if you wish to get further messages similar to the one that I'm going to share with you all in this moment. And also feel free to share this content with 2 or 3 like-minded people, or for someone who may have shared with you that they may be on this journey as well. And maybe it's a great conversation piece, you know what I mean? Um, Pardon self. Yeah, so I just wanted to share with you all the amazing metaphysical benefits of working with the properties of Moldavite and Libyan desert glass. Right now, you know, I am currently holding my Moldavite and my Libyan desert glass in this moment. And excuse me, throat chakra going in, hit that like button. Hey, guess what? This must be one of those messages, man. You know what I mean? But I'm currently holding I'm holding a Moldavite in my hand, and I'm holding a Libyan desert glass in the same hand. And before I get into the video, I just want to share with you all as a sidebar. I have been working with Moldavite for about a year and a few months, and I got my Libyan desert glass, on the other hand, a few months after I got my Moldavite. So my I've been working with my Libyan desert glass for about a year as well. And I made a conscious decision to get those 2 crystals around the same time. Now, I know, Moldavite is definitely not a crystal. It's a tektite, for the enthusiasts. We love y'all, and I know y'all would have definitely let me know, but yes, it is noted that it is a tektite, which is pretty much a starborn entity. It comes from an explosion in, I believe it's the Maldive River. No, the yeah, something like that. And it happened around 18 million years ago, long time ago, long time ago, long time ago, which pretty much it came from a meteorite which crashed in the Czech Republic. You know what I mean? It crashed in the Czech Republic around 18 and a half, almost 19 million years ago. And when it went into the air, it formed a glass. Okay. So Moldavite is part crystal, part tektite. The tektite meaning that it came from an asteroid. You know what I mean? So it is outer worldly. It is from out of this world, and it has properties that are not on earth. It has a lot of experiences that you will experience that will seem like nothing on earth would ever make you experience. It's an amazing Tektite. I want to say crystal so bad, but it's an amazing Tektite. And I just want to say that I've been working with Moldavite for about a year and a few months, give or take, and the changes were so drastic. Like it was such like okay, from the moment I decided to work with it, it was probably like my second crystal that I got. The first crystal that I got was the first crystal that I got was um I'm trying to think, not golden healer quartz. Um Dang, I should remember. No, the first crystal that I got was clear quartz crystal. I must be thinking about golden healer quartz. Let me go, don't let me go get that because I do have it over there. I was working with that earlier today. But clear quartz crystal, which is actually a very interesting crystal in itself as well. It's one of those crystals where you can pretty much program it to be whatever you need it to be, and also it amplifies the effects of any other crystal or tektite that it works with. Okay, so when I first got Moldavite, it was very, you feel it was very like, I wouldn't say wild, but it was just like, it was almost like the phrase where you hit the ground running, you know what I mean? So it's like you hit this, like, I got this crystal. I decided to get this crystal, right? I decided to get Moldavite. You know what I mean? Tektite. I'm gonna keep calling it crystal, and I know y'all gonna get on me, but just bear. If I call it a crystal, just bear. Just hit the like button. You know. Um, I decided as my second crystal that I want to get Moldavite. You know, and I thought about it. At first I wasn't gonna buy it, but I went ahead and I put it in my hand, and instantly you could feel the effects, of like it's like hot and cold at the same time. And I was taught that your left hand is your receiving hand and your right hand is your giving hand. So I put it in my left hand, and you could just feel the energy just going up. And at first I wasn't gonna buy it because I wasn't sure if it was gonna be really strong like that. But when I felt the power of it, I thought it was like, I was like, nah, I've never felt anything like this before, you know? And so I was at a point in my life, let's be, I'm gonna be a little transparent with y'all. I was at a point in my life where, yeah, so, yeah, my bad, y'all. I had to extend the video a little longer. But yeah, I was at a point in my life where like I was going through a lot of hiccups. I was going through a lot of rough patches, and I want to share with you all that they were all from decisions that I had made. So like I don't even want to like hold y'all up. You know what I mean? I don't want to hold y'all up and say, oh, you know, this person made me go through this and that person made me go through that. No, like over here, we take full accountability. I was making some crazy choices, and and I own up to it, but I was enjoying my life still and all, and you don't realize what truly is happening when you work with Moldavite until you bring it into your life, into your experience. And like even though I was making all these decisions, rash decisions, or like I mean, like let's be honest, like I wasn't doing anything crazy, like I wasn't like breaking the law or anything like that. I wasn't doing nothing like that. But just stuff that like stuff that you're going through that you didn't really have to go through it, but now like you go through it and you gain the wisdom, and so I'll say all that to say this, like I did learn, because even in making all of those decisions, you still learn. Even in making all of those decisions, you still learn how to gain wisdom, and you learn that the true answer to every decision that's ever made, it lies at the end of that particular journey before you make another decision into the next section of your experience or your life. So even though I was making all those decisions, I was very comfortable, right? But so boom, so I bring Moldavite into my life, right? All right, here we go. You know what I'm saying? Here we go. Here we go. You know what I mean? So hit that like button real quick if y'all feeling the content. Go ahead, subscribe. But so I bring Moldavite in, and so like the first week, like I'm at work, you know what I'm saying? And I'm feeling like they call, I'm feeling dizzy. You know what I'm saying? I'm feeling dizzy. I'm feeling like kind of spacey a little bit. And what was happening is this process called the Moldavite flush. All right. And what happens with the Moldavite flush is it's it's a situation that happens when you deal with Moldavite, when you first start dealing with Moldavite, where all of your chakras start aligning, like they start aligning and they start opening up all your energy. The chakra is an energy system, by the way. That's what an energy system is. So your energy systems open up. Some of these energies I've felt for the first time. Some of them I haven't felt in a long time. Some of my chakras I can tell were blocked just because of trauma or different life choices or experiences, whatever. But anyways, that first week or that first week and a half, like I literally was feeling like it was just such an influx of downloads and just all these amazing ideas of what I could be and where I could take my life. And it was a little bit of fear too, because I wasn't sure if it was me or if it was the crystal, but I learned that even the fear dissolved away too, because like I started learning that my life was very fearful before dealing with this crystal. Like I was very fearful because like I was just pretty much living, you live your life and you're doing what's expected of you and you're following rules and, like you're just trying to like fit in with people and whatever. And you start realizing that a lot of us chosen ones, we, we were not born to fit in with anyone. We were born to stand out. We were born to be different and have our own agenda. And, essentially we were brought here to Earth to help create the new Earth. You know what I mean? And for those who know. And, we're not here to keep things going. We're here to create a new reality, that's filled with love, that's filled with kindness, that's filled with being real, being authentic. And I'll say this real quick too. Authenticity is the driving factor behind every feeling, behind every emotion. Whether you try and be authentic or not, it's going to show. Your authenticity is going to show, even if it's fake, even if it's real, even if it's true, even if it's false. Even if something is false, it's authentic. It's going to be 100% false. Even if it's true, it's going to be authentic. It's going to be 100% true. Whether you try to be authentic or not, what happens is you recognize that your authenticity is the underlying factor behind everything that drives you. So that first week, I'm at work, I'm like not paying attention, like nothing bad happened, I'm fine, I'm fine, everything's cool. But I just started noticing that like I was kind of like in my in my own energy for the first time, unapologetically. And the amount of downloads that I was getting, receiving, and even forgetting, even I was forgetting a lot of the downloads and I would get even better downloads. And it just felt unreal. And, I'm wearing this crystal and I started like only wearing it a little bit here and there. But I remember one day I said, I remember I took it off one day when I was at work, and I was saying to myself, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna wear it all day to see what happens, or I'm gonna only wear it when I go to work. And I started noticing that like a lot of the things that were happening in my life felt superhuman. Like I felt like, all right, before I brought Moldavite into my life, it was always like, all right, you know how jobs are. It's like, all right, do that thing one more time, and we're gonna have to have a talk, or it's not really fear based, but it's kind of like, I was just starting a job, and you want to do your best, so you're kind of like not really walking on eggshells, but you're kind of like, you're just trying to do your thing. You're just trying to get in there and fit in, whatever. And so I started shedding away all that fear, and I started um really being super confident in my personal life. And one way how I could tell I became really confident is I started doing YouTube like really hard, and I initially started my YouTube for other reasons. I did it, I started my YouTube because, like I was going through some situations where, like, I was coming out of like a what do you call it? Like a long-term relationship. I'm not gonna get super deep into it, but y'all know how it is. It's like, you coming out of like I'm coming out of a relationship, whatever, and I didn't wanna like hold my friends up, and be talking to them on the phone like for like 4 hours about who did what, so I just started like I noticed I started hopping on YouTube, and I started talking, and it became my therapy, like me being myself, be on here, and like me being myself on YouTube, it just became my therapy, and it became the thing that kind of helped me through a lot of that and a lot of my work stuff. And you know what I started noticing when I started working with Moldavite? Like I stopped telling that old story. Like, like the story, like everybody kind of has this moment where like you kind of feel like you're in a rut where you're just like talking. And so I started noticing that I started really feeling really more confident, and I started really creating my reality. That's why a lot of my videos are about shaping your reality, creating your reality, becoming a co-creator, because I was really living in that truth, in that reality. And I really got to a point where I didn't care about telling those stories anymore. Like, I mean, I didn't care who did anything anymore. Like, I just wanted to have that feeling, you know. And what I love about what Moldavite did in my life is that it just showed me, it set the standard for how I should feel about myself, even without the crystal, even without wearing it. Because I don't wear it all the time. I mean, I wear it every day now, but there was a time where I would wear it and I would take it off and I would keep it with me, or I would, whatever. And the whole idea, I believe, was Moldavite came into my life and it started getting rid of things that did not serve me. And I didn't forget about Libyan Desert Glass. I'm gonna get to that in a second. But Moldavite came in my life and just ripped everything out of my life, like that was not helping me. Like things that I was thought that the things that I thought I needed, it just left. It just got out of my life. Like for real, for real. Like I moved. I thought I was gonna be living where I lived forever. As soon as I got Moldavite, like 2 months later, I was like not living there anymore. I was living somewhere else. You know what I mean? Um, I started doing really good with my business. I started doing really good at my job. And it's funny because, like I said about fear, about having fear, you get used to having fear a lot of times. But when Moldavite came into my life, I remembered um one of the ladies that I speak with a lot, that I bought my crystal from. She was letting me know. She said, either you'll quit your job, or you'll quit your job or your business, or you'll start your business, or or you'll do good on your job, or you'll do good on your job and your business. What ended up happening is I started excelling at everything that I ever touched, you know. And I don't believe it's all about the crystal. I believe it was all about what was inside of me all along, what I was born with. And like I always say in my videos about remembering, a remembrance, or remembering something, is reattaching something that was always there. So I'll just say that as a sidebar, just to let people know, it's not always all about the crystal or about the tech type, but it was a well needed talisman in my life that came into my life exactly when I needed it, and to help me grow and become my greatest version. Now, I believe that all crystals and all tektites, they come to you when you need them, you know, or you search them when you need them, because Um, it's one of those things where I never was into spirituality really. I always was interested in it, but I was like I said about fear. I was always afraid, and I was like one of those people before, and I'll fast forward after this, I'll digress, but I was always the person that thought things were cool but never did them. You know what I mean? And that was the old me. And like now I just be doing stuff. I just be doing all kind of stuff, and I be having fun, and sometimes I be failing. I fail so hard at certain things, but I love the fact that I'm trying it and I'm failing. I love that I fail. I love, falling on my face with it, and not trying to trigger anybody, but I'm just saying, like I love trying things and it fail, and I can say, okay, well, that didn't work. Let me do something different. Instead of wondering what would have been had I tried it, I can say, oh, I did that thing. I crashed out in 2 months. It didn't work. Nobody, I started that, I did that thing in my business and nobody paid me for it. So that's one less thing I have to worry about doing. I'm not gonna ever do that again. And it just boosted my confidence and my morale because I was able to see all the things that were not working. So it helped me focus on the things that were. So, after the Moldavite flush, I started working with the clear quartz crystal, which was amplifying it. And what ended up happening is I became psychic. Like I became like not psychic like how like a generalized psychic, but like how I need to see things. It wasn't like how everybody else views how a psychic should look. I just was able to like speak with people, and I could tell people what's gonna happen. Within the first 3 to 5 minutes, I'll just start hearing other voices while people are talking. Like they'll be saying, "Oh man, I had a bad day," or "Hey, oh man, I had a bad day. I was running late." And then before they could finish the sentence, I'll be like, "Well, maybe you were running late because you've been early. Maybe you avoided an accident, or maybe you avoided getting a ticket, or maybe you avoided, leaving your phone at home or something. Maybe that was why you ran late, and everything ended up working out." And they were like, "Yeah, everything did end up working out right." People they started talking to me. I started noticing that people would come to me for counsel, and of course I incorporated more crystals, but the Moldavite was really profound because I started becoming like really confident. And I've been talking a lot about ego in my videos, and I'm going to continue to keep talking about ego because I feel like ego is well needed. I don't feel like not the generalized ego that people are talking about, but I feel like ego in a sense of self-worth and feeling important. I feel like I needed to feel important. I feel like I needed to feel important from me seeing myself as important, not for what people can see in me, because I spent a lot of my time waiting for validation, waiting for people to validate me or to, you know what I mean? And, I was just done with all of that stuff, man, and I just felt like for once I could see my own value without having to check in with anybody. And I learned through isolation, just from isolating and going through um multiple different dark nights of the soul and spiritual awakenings, because I mean technically it's the same thing. It's like two sides of a coin, dark night of the soul and a spiritual awakening. Dark night of the soul is when you realize that things are not working out as you thought, and spiritual awakening is when you realize what can work, and you start gravitating toward the light, the light body, the light in your body, the light, your light codes, the light codes that you were born with. And there's nothing wrong with having a dark night of the soul. It's just it's a realization that, hey, that thing that was supposed to work didn't work, or that relationship didn't work, or that job didn't work, or that town didn't work. And it's not a bad thing, I don't feel like anything is bad. I feel like everything was working for the betterment of this journey, because I was never confident to be on YouTube. Hit that like button. Not me. I would never I never wanted to put my face on YouTube and, you know what I'm saying, and be out there like that. And I'm outside and people see me. I'm walking around with my head up and all that type of stuff. Um, I never was like that. I was always like, oh, I wonder what they're gonna think about me. And I used to think like that. And it's funny, not funny like haha, but funny kind of like interesting funny. Like how did I let that what it kind of struck a question to me, like what did I let happen for me to get to that point, you know? Because I noticed that a lot of times when I would seek counsel from people, no one could tell me what I was going through because they'd be like, "Yo, I've never been through that before." And I noticed the only way I was ever able to find the answer is when I sat alone. So when I sat alone, all the questions got answered, and you know, now I'm gonna bring in the conversation about the Libyan desert glass. So I decided to get Libyan desert glass, right? Which is um which is a tektite that was, I believe, it's a tektite as well, but I believe it was its origin was a little bit older than Moldavite. I think Moldavite was younger. I could be wrong, but I believe Moldavite is not as old as Libyan desert glass, if I'm not mistaken. But definitely hit me in the comment section, because your boy be still trying to learn. But anyways, I be knowing a lot of stuff. But anyways, it started from a meteor blast, you know, as well. But and it happened in Libya, which is in Egypt, and actually King Tut, if I'm not mistaken, he had a scarab made out of Libyan desert glass. And so what Libyan desert glass is really good for is it's for your solar plexus. Okay, so let me explain, because I don't think I explained what Moldavite is good for and what Libyan desert glass is good for, but now's a great time. Libyan, Libyan desert glass is good for, hold on, let me put my phone on, let me put my tablet on the charger real quick, because I don't want to lose y'all. Hold on, Um, bear with me, collective, because your boy, I don't want to lose y'all, and then I had to pick up where I left off at. Um, yeah, so Libyan desert glass is good for your solar plexus, which is like your stomach, your stomach and down. So it goes from your stomach and down. So you have your solar plexus and you have your root chakra. You know what I mean? You have your solar plexus and your root chakra. All right. So your solar plexus, that's all right. So to explain your solar plexus, that's that feeling that you get in your stomach when something's wrong or something stressful is about to happen. Really, your stomach, they say your stomach is your first brain. All right. Let's just put it like that. That's your first intuition, your first, before your mind can register what it is you're going through, your stomach knows. So energetically, your solar plexus or your stomach will show you, hey, this person is toxic, or hey, this person loves me, or this person loves me, or this person is toxic, or this place makes me feel good, or this place makes me feel bad, or you know um and of course root chakra is your creative chakra. That's or your what you call it, your sexual energy, your sexual energy, and your creative energy, which is the same thing. I'm not going to get into all of that in this video, but another video. And then of course the chakras underneath, which is your earth star chakra, which generally is, like when y'all hear me say, oh, I got my shoes off and I'm grounded in the sand, I'm trying to charge up, trying to let the energy meet in my solar plexus. And so that's Libyan desert glass. But what Moldavite does is Moldavite starts from the heart, and it opens up your heart, it opens up your throat chakra, it opens up your third eye chakra, it opens up your crown chakra, and the chakras above your head, which is your soul star chakra and above. I believe if I'm not mistaken, it should be 22. There's seven that's shown on a grid, but there should be like there's a lot of chakras. All right. So, anyways, we're a energy body, aka we're a spiritual being having a human experience. Spiritual being having a human experience. But not but and um, that's what happens with the chakras. Okay. So, anyways, I bring in Libyan desert glass into my home, right? And so, and this was right before I moved, right? I already had Moldavite, cool. So Moldavite have it's up, up, up. Everything is like, you're thinking about all these good ideas, da, 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 but I was all over the place. But what happened when I bought Libyan Desert Glass is it grounded me. Okay, grounded, not grounded like punishment. You know what I mean? Not like, oh, go wait in your room for like a week, because ain't nobody trying to do all that, unless we, you know what I mean, because we adults now. But it grounded me in a sense where all that flying all over the place feeling, like I felt like I was able to be stable with the downloads I was getting from God, from the universe. And so when I would get Libyan desert glass and I would keep it around me, I felt grounded. I felt like I was stable. I felt like I was firm on the ground, spiritually, not physically, but spiritually. And so, excuse me. So what ended up happening is my confidence grew and my willpower grew. My willpower. So willpower meaning my ability to endure through painful situations, to still will what I needed to exist in my physical into existence in my physical. You feel me? Hit the like button. So I was able to will through all the setbacks and the trauma and the side eye and the negativity and the people, hating or the lack of confidence that I had. Because let's be honest, without even looking at other people or projecting, I was dealing with a lot of stuff, and I believe that that's why I brought those crystals in to my experience, because I wanted to enhance my experience. I'm speaking for myself personally. I'm not saying that crystals will enhance your experience. I'm just saying that this is what happened in my experience. So my willpower grew, my grounding grew, and my ability to get things done expanded. Like I remember the day that I got it. I never forget. I got it in, and I know, ordering things online, you know what I mean, gets bad rap, you know what I mean. But I ordered my stuff. I ordered my Libyan Desert Glass on Amazon from a respected source, respected, and I remember the minute I got it in the mail, I brought it in the house and I could feel the energy before I opened the pouch. And so, the pouch came with the certificate of authenticity, whatever, whatever. It was vacuum sealed in a frame. So I opened it up and immediately, and I remember, you know how it is when you come in from work, you have one of those days where you just be like, yo, I'm just gonna stay in the house till like 8 or 9 o'clock. I'm gonna eat some dinner, I'm gonna watch some YouTube, take a shower, take another shower, brush my teeth, work out, and then I'm just gonna go to bed, try to get to bed before 12 or 11, maybe work on my business a little bit. And then, I had one of those days when, and I remember because I was coming home instead of taking care of stuff because I was trying to anticipate when the package was going to be delivered, because I was getting notifications that it was, 20 minutes away. Um, um, it just arrived yesterday, like it just arrived in the town yesterday, it should be 20 minutes away now. Or, you get, how you get the emails, oh, it just got delivered, this and that, this and that. So when I got it and bought it in the house, I remember I was getting ready to just have a lazy day where I just rest and recharge. And I remember getting up, taking a shower, getting dressed, and I went to the supermarket before 9. Because, a supermarket, back then, about a year or two ago, we were just coming off of, that pandemic. I don't want to say the name of it, but anyways, we were just coming off of that. So all the stores had wonky hours. So it was no more 10:30, 11 o'clock where the supermarkets closed at 11 o'clock and or the overnight ones. It was like you better get your stuff by 8 or 9. You know what I mean? You better need to have everything. I know I said that wrong on purpose, but toilet paper, paper towels, eggs, if you into eggs and milk and cheese and all that, you get all your essential necessities, whatever, and you be in the house before 9 or 10 before the supermarkets close, or else you out of luck. Because you could go to a corner store, but then you probably upcharge you, but whatever, I'm not hating. But so, anyways, I remember feeling eager to get things done with Libyan Desert Glass. I felt eager. I felt a sense of strength. I felt a sense of courage to really go over and beyond, you know. And I believe by pairing Libyan Desert Glass with Moldavite, it helped me with my discernment levels because I was able to discern. Remember what I said earlier, when I would talk to people, I would hear messages or downloads, or I would be able to give them light codes on how to solve their situation. I started noticing that as my discernment grew, I couldn't give everybody the messages. Like, not saying that I held back, but like a lot of time, especially when you are a healer or you are a empath, because remember I was telling y'all I went through all this drama and all this stuff in the beginning of the video. I was telling y'all I went through all this stuff and I really built my confidence up. So as an empath, as a super empath, as a healer, a lot of times when people find out that that's what you are good for, they want to put you to work. They want you to work. They don't care if you work yourself to sleep. They want you to solve stuff. They want you to heal stuff. And a lot of time, I'm just gonna call it how it is. And I'm not trying to judge, but a lot of time people don't want to heal. They don't want to heal. They don't want to solve their stuff. They don't want to do the inner work to heal themselves or solve themselves. They want you to help them do everything, and then they still don't take the advice, and then they still go back and do the stuff anyway, and then they want you to come back again and take the phone call, or whatever. I'm not judging. I'm just saying, the discernment level had rose for me. It rose up, and I was able to discern. And of course, with consent, because you don't want to just look into people's life without their consent. But a lot of time I was able to look and see the energy. I can see a person's energy from far away. It's like that Kendrick Lamar song. I can see your energy from 3 planets away. I know I messed up. I probably butchered that song. Please don't come for me in the comments. I apologize. Because listen, I'll butcher a song, but I'll be knowing what I'm talking about. But you know, don't kill my vibe. I don't want to say that curse word. Don't kill my vibe. Yeah, I mean. And he was saying, I could feel your energy from 3 planets away. You know what I mean? So a lot of people, a lot of things, a lot of places, not even people, a lot of places, I could look at it in a photo and I could tell, nope, I'm not going there. Nope, I'm not doing that. Nope, nope, nope. I'm not doing it. You know what I mean? And it's not, and I started being a lot more humble with, with sharing with people about the downloads I was getting. And I started really waiting for consent from people. Like when people would seek me out and their heart was genuine and they really wanted to know how they could do the work that they needed to do to heal themselves and stuff like that, then I would kind of, consult them or whatever. They would consult me and I would let them know, hey, follow your heart, or whatever it is that they shared in consent with me. I would, then in return I would give them, the information maybe that they were seeking, or just even if it was just encouragement, or even if it was just somebody for them to listen to them. Sometimes I would just listen, and that would help too, without no advice. So, I believe that bringing Libyan Desert Glass and Moldavite into my life, it helped with my discernment because I was able to see everything And when I say everything, I mean myself, because I had to do a lot of work. I had to do a lot of inner work in myself, because I'm not perfect and I'm still doing work on myself. And I'm going to always do work on myself until I go back to the essence. That's just the way how I'm carrying myself. I'm going to always continue to do the work, even if it means when I make it to the next level, um, it might be a dark season where I might have to like shine light on certain things, you know, just see my last video, Truth Seeker, you know what I mean? Yeah, I had to do a lot of work on myself because I had to learn who I am. I had to learn who I am and what I'm here for and what I'm here to do. So that way I don't just be out here aimlessly just, oh, I got Moldavite, I got Libyan Desert Glass. Let me, no, it wasn't all of that. It wasn't to say I was on a pedestal or anything like that. It was just for myself, for my own inner transformation and healing. But also that I also learned that this spirituality thing is real, man. Like it's super strong, man. And you get into it in the beginning, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna keep it honest with y'all. I'm gonna keep it transparent. I got into it and I was bragging to people. I'm not gonna lie. When I first got into it, like 2 years ago, 2 years, 2.5 years ago, I was bragging. I ain't gonna lie. I was bragging about meditating and about ascension and stuff like that. But then when it becomes a way of life, you stop that. You stop it, because it's not for you to project onto people. It's not for you to push it onto people's lives and make them and force them into seeing things the way you see it. When they want to see it how you see things, when they want to see it how you see things, they'll come to you and they'll ask for guidance or counsel. And then you can open up and share with them what you feel you want to share. And it's still up to you, your discernment, to see, how much of what you want to share, you share, and how much do you keep for yourself. Because only you could, I could never tell you what to share or how much of your life to be open with, but only you could know that. So I just believe that I used Libyan Desert Glass and Moldavite as tools but for self-betterment and self-ascension, just for myself, because I still have to live with myself. You know what I mean? I don't mean to be so candid right now, but like, like, hey, look, when people turn their YouTube off and go to bed tonight, or or they decide they're gonna fast on social media and they don't watch, anybody's content for like a month or two, I still have to live with myself, and I have to like what I'm around. I have to like myself. I have to love myself. So, I figured, why not start now? Why not start now? Because, Moldavite is a heart-based chakra. It's green. It's for your heart. It's to open up your heart. I love Moldavite. Like I've been so happy with Moldavite. I'll cry. You know what I mean? I'm a man. I don't care. I'll tell it's a different feeling when you be so happy you'll cry about certain things. You know, you'll cry. And I've been in situations that should have crushed me. That should have crushed me, or situations that are very sad or very bad, and I won't cry. I'll feel strong in them situations, and people be like, "Yo, I don't know how you made it through that," and stuff. Like, so, where it's just a true paradigm shift, where I know, because I could tell that certain things were gonna come to try to crush my beliefs, and certain things were gonna try to come to push my beliefs in a different direction too. And I just didn't want to do the same, like the mundane stuff. I didn't want to do the stuff everybody else is doing. And I'm not trying to judge, but I'm just saying for myself personally, I didn't want to party. I didn't want to party when I knew I had work to do. I didn't want to, and I know I'm being super transparent when I say this, but like, I didn't want to date 100 times. Date, go out, meet different people. I didn't want to do that. Everybody is out here, doing their thing, and I didn't want to do what everybody's out here doing. I just wanted to learn myself, because I feel like with life going on and life ongoing, you'll lose yourself in living your life, and you'll forget who you are in living your life, and life will still go on. And that was kind of like, not a fear. It wasn't a fear of mine, but I believe sometimes fear could be a motivator. You know, Like if it's alchemized the right way, you could use fear to motivate you, to inspire you to go into a direction that you never looked at, that you know you've been putting off, you know. And I knew, I said, you know, I know if I would say to myself, I know if I go through this, it's gonna crush me and I'm gonna be broken. Or I know if I go through this, I'm gonna win, you know. And I was able to go through the things that were gonna crush me and make it work. And I was able to go through the things that were good and see how by doing the bad things, how I could have missed my blessing. If had I would have did anything not in alignment. You know what I mean? Hit that like button. Um, it was just one of those like wake awakening moments where, you know, you realize that you're gonna always have a spiritual awakening. You know, there's always gonna be moments where you feel like stagnated, or you feel like, you know, a dark night of the soul. Like we just got finished having a Mercury retrograde, right? And the energy was real murky. You know, there's a lot of people passing away. There's a lot of different stuff. But we literally are on the next level, and is we're literally early, you know. Um, and for the people, you know, of course, for the people that passed away, there are spirit guides now. You know, there are people that you don't have to worry about, oh, you know, I would call them, but I only have 10% battery, and you know, I don't want to be stranded while I'm, you know, I'll wait till I get home or whatever. It's like now those people can just talk to you all day, you know, if we're talking about spirituality and people and spirituality, because you know, energy never dies. Energy, frequency, and vibration never dies. It can never be created nor destroyed. You know what I mean? It just is. So I believe when people are not here any longer, they ascend. They are eternal, just like, you know, just like God, just like the Creator. So, um, I I eventually got to a place with wearing Libyan desert glass and Moldavite, where now I barely talk unless I make YouTube videos. You know what I mean? Like, I'll talk when I'm out in public and stuff like that, but I look at it as a respect for people. Like, I'll acknowledge them. It's almost like you don't want to be in anybody's way. You know what I mean? And you don't want to say anything. You don't know what people are dealing with. You don't want to, and it's not a fear thing either. It's a respect thing. And then it's like if people, by people seeing that you are out of the way, quote unquote, and all of that. But check it out. I think I'm gonna go ahead and end this video. I wow. I've been talking for, I think this video is gonna be almost an hour, man. I don't know. Let's see. Let's see. I hope I'm able to upload it, because you know how it is with storage. But listen, man, I hope y'all got some value from this video. I hope y'all got a chance to learn a little bit more about me in this video, and me being transparent. I hope that it inspired y'all to be your greatest version in this moment. I just want to let y'all know that I love y'all so much, man. I really do. I really appreciate you all. And y'all know I be trying all different kind of stuff in these videos, and y'all still be rocking me. Y'all still be rocking with me, man. And I love that. I love that, man. I love that y'all rocking with me. And I appreciate y'all for showing up. And even if y'all just passing through and y'all just, casually watch the video for a few minutes, I appreciate that too. Because I get it. I know that everybody is, very super busy, and everybody has their own thing that they have to do. So I do value that you are taking time and time out of your very busy schedule to just tap in with me, just even if it's for a few minutes, even if it's just to show a comment and then move on. I love that too. But check it out. I'm gonna holler at y'all in the next video. I think I'm gonna shoot more videos like this. But peace and love. I will get up with y'all in the very next video. All right. I love y'all. I love y'all. I love y'all. I will see y'all very soon. All right. Peace and love. Namaste.